Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. And back with us for the football season. Happy to welcome in my friend Damon Amendolara, of course, the DA Show on CBS Sports Radio each and every weekday morning. DA, nice long paternity leave for you from your own show. We gave you even extra from this show, which is probably appropriate because we don't pay you.
Yeah, I mean, as loyal as I am to the Hoffman Show, until I start seeing that check cash, I said I'm taking my summer off. I'm holding out Hoffman Show until I get a bigger pay raise from zero.
Okay, I'll send you $5. I hope Venmo still works. I hope it's still all connected.
Well, now we're talking. Okay,
right.
Now we're talking. I like this.
All right.
That negotiation went easier than I thought.
Speaking of negotiations, do the Chiefs need to negotiate some new wide receiver contracts? Like, how concerned should Kansas City be after last night?
Yeah, I think there's a concern about who the number one target is aside from Travis Kelce. I mean, the one thing the Chiefs have done is they've decided for wide receivers. They've been right. They've won 2 Super Bowls. Last year they won one post Tyreek Hill. But think about all of the wide receiving talent that has left Kansas City since this run began. Sammy Watkins was the first. Then Tyreek Hill. We've seen Juju Smith-Schuster leave as well. And Nicole Hardman. That's a lot of potential wide receivers, ones or twos, that went out the door. And then last night, without Travis Kelce, nobody stepped up to look like a one. Back maybe as soon as week 2. They'll get it back soon, seemingly. But if you have to depend on somebody in that wide receiving core, I guess it's Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He's been there a while. But also, you know, if that's Kadarius Toney's potential, if Sky Moore's potential is 0 catches, if Rashee Rice is the guy catching touchdowns, there's an issue. That's a thin wide receiving group, and somebody's going to have to grow up real quick.
No doubt. Damon Amendolara, CBS Sports Radio with us. And I think it reminds us, obviously, how competitive the NFL is week in, week out. Sometimes it feels inevitable when a guy like Mahomes goes and wins the Super Bowl, but it's just not. And I think when we made our predictions yesterday on the show for the season, like, you kind of realize how wide open it is in both conferences. Is there a team, though, that in either conference you feel really strongly about, that if you had to bet some significant amount of money on to win, to be in the Super Bowl, that you'd be like, that's my team?
You would naturally say the Chiefs because this run that they're on, but I actually think that we might see a bit of a regression this year. I still think they win the division. I still think they win well over double-digit games, but whether it's the Jones holdout, the Kelce injury, a thin wide receiving core, young guys having to grow up, or just exhaustion. It's long seasons they've gone through, and winning a Super Bowl and coming back to do it again is something that we have not seen in 20 years. I don't think the Chiefs get back to a Super Bowl. I've got 2 teams going to the Super Bowl for that exact reason. Teams that I think are just too talented to fail and have not climbed the mountaintop yet, or haven't done it multiple times in terms of getting there. And that's the Bengals and the Eagles. They've both been there recently, but they haven't closed the job. And I know it's rare for a Super Bowl loser to get back there, but I think the Eagles have as good a chance as we've seen in a long time because they're so loaded on both sides. They have excellent wide receivers. They have good running backs. They have a really good offensive line. They have a great two-way to kill you quarterback. They've got incredible depth of defensive line. They've got, kind of everything you could possibly need in multiple levels. I think the Eagles are kind of too good to fail. And I also think the Bengals are as well. I think the Bengals are knocking on the door to finally get a crown of their own. They're largely, if not completely, healthy, and they're great on both sides of the football. This is the window. This is the moment to win if you're the Bengals. So those are the 2 teams that I think are just so good and balanced that it would be really hard to bet against them, even if they deal with the natural turbulence that almost every team does in the NFL.
Yeah, actually, that means you split the picks that Anthony and I made, because I had Cincinnati and he had Philadelphia. So there you are, just perfectly in the middle. Something in the Syracuse education waters.
We are in alignment here.
Yes. The one that I couldn't believe that I picked is I picked the Jets to win the AFC East. Am I just did my brain get scrambled by Hard Knocks? Am I guilty of that, or are they actually going to be good?
Well, I've got them making the playoffs. I don't have them winning the division, and I think if they get to the playoffs, it could be an early game. Defense is very good. They were very good last year. I think that offense has real playmakers. Garrett Wilson is clearly one of those guys that is going to become one of the great wide receivers in the game, seemingly. And Rodgers upgrades you at quarterback. My issue with the Jets is I don't know how strong a head coach Robert Saleh is. I don't like the peacocking. I don't like DJ Reed saying they could be historically great of a defense. I think people tend to overlook that Aaron Rodgers in big spots, playoff games or win-and-in games over the last 4 years has been relatively terrible, that his regular seasons have been elite. Or last year's Week 18 was pretty terrible. He's been one of the worst players on the field in all of those defeats, a couple of NFC championship games, an NFC divisional round game, and then last year against the Lions in the final regular season game. So I'm not certain that anybody should trust Aaron Rodgers kind of like being this elite playmaker in these big spots anymore. Could be because of age, could be a million other factors, but he had really good teams in Green Bay, and they didn't get to a Super Bowl. So assuming big things in New York, I think, is a step too far. So I guess I would split the difference with you. I think they're a playoff caliber team. I don't think they're good enough to win a division that has the Dolphins and the Bills in it.
Yeah, my brain got scrambled by Hard Knocks. It happened. I'm like even open to the idea that Aaron Rodgers might not be quite as hateable as I want him to be. And then I remember all the stuff that he did. I'm like, no, actually that guy still sucks.
Well, he's an incredible actor. We can't forget that Aaron Rodgers enjoys the spotlight. He has done this with the Pat McAfee interviews. He enjoys people talking about him. He auditioned for the Jeopardy hosting job. He's angling for that. He likes the show. He likes the attention. He likes the acting part of it. And I think he realized with his Hard Knocks thing that he got to audition again to kind of reboot his brand, reboot his reputation. And I think some of it is very authentic. I think he seems to like being in New York, a fresh start. New York City seems to be good to him, all these things. But there's no doubt he turned the charm up to a 10. And that's kind of his background, to kind of like act his way through the moment that he wants the attention in. So, yeah, I do think you probably were duped in some ways, like a lot of people are, like that's the real Aaron Rodgers, when we also have 5 years of evidence of him being kind of like a surly, me first, I'll tell you how it's going to be, you guys are stupid, I'm smart type of guy as well.
Right. No, and that's the thing is like it's only going to be so much with NFL films that you're not going to come out and be like, wow, that's a COVID denying, anti-vax, believes in all kinds of crazy stuff, weirdo. But I did appreciate, because he is so like that does come to him authentically. They have the UFO scene, and he's talking about like how he saw a UFO, and you're like, oh right, this guy might be from outer space.
Yeah, look, Aaron Rodgers has, I think, two sides of his personality, and maybe one of them is Martian-like. But the one part of his personality is clearly kind of assertive and authentic and leader and greatness. And then the other side seems to be kind of like manipulative and difficult, sometimes shirking responsibility, know-it-all, things like this. So, you kind of get both sides of it. You can't have one without the other with Aaron Rodgers. And maybe one of those sides is from a different planet.
That would make so much sense. All right. Last but not least, for Damon Amendolara, host, of course, of the DA Show, mornings on CBS Sports Radio, is your thoughts from your seat on the home team. Commanders over-under this year in Vegas, 6.5 wins. I think most of us here that have watched training camp and watched everything feel confident in the over, but there's also the proximity bias that is undeniable. So, from your seat, over under 6.5 on Washington.
I would go over, although I think the division, again, is pretty difficult. Going to be tough to get a win against the Eagles. Going to be tough to get a win against the Cowboys. Even if you split both of those games, which would be great, if you can split with the Giants as well, it's a 3-3 division record. Maybe you can go 4-2 in a really kind of wow, the Commanders surprised us. So that's going to be tough with those 6 games. That being said, I think the Commanders are undervalued. I think they have playmakers. I think they have a stout defense. I think they're underrated, so they're not going to have a target on their back every single week. We have to see how the Bieniemy offense works. We have to see how the Howell experiment works. We have to see how a young quarterback with Bieniemy works. That being said, I think they're undervalued. I think this is more like an 8-win team than it is a 6-win team.
Yeah, that's where I sit, is kind of in that same range as well. Obviously, we'll see starting Sunday with Arizona at FedEx Field. Damon Amendolara, morning CBS Sports Radio. And then are you back on Sundays as well? Do we got morning football? What's the plan here?
Yes, we do. Sunday morning football returns this week. We react to week 2 of the college football season and preview kickoff weekend in the NFL. So that's 10 a.m. Eastern time on CBS Sports Radio affiliates or on the free Odyssey app.
Yes, on the free Odyssey app. Did you hear that, all of corporate? The free Odyssey app. All right, your Venmo's in the Venmo mail, and hopefully we'll talk to you again next week. Thank you.
Thanks, man. And you could also send me that in Odyssey coins as well.
Right. Correct. Maybe I'll do that. All right. Bye.
All right. Thanks, man.
What's up, kiddos? It's your boy Clinton Yates from ESPN. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980.